Shalom, shalom, shalom lakam, which is peace unto you all. Ha'irab tawab la'atam, za'ach yawam man rachagado Charlotte, which is good evening. This is your brother Yawan from the GMS camp in Charlotte. Nachamatam kaya. Hamalakatashamayim kwa repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call layim la abanawa Yahweh bahasham Yahweh shai bahasham rochakodash wamashana la zakwanim nawa. Wamala Akim Sharo Chagadol, which is all praises to our Father Yahweh, which means he exists, Bahasham, in the name Yahweh Shai, delivers in double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Zata Hoyam, this is Psalms chapter 98, and we'll get verse 9. And it says, Before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. With righteousness shall he judge the world and the people with equity. All right, and ultimately, the Lord, is sending his son Yahweh Shai, ultimately, to judge 2/3 in the heathen, you see, but then ultimately, pursuing after that, all right, it's going to be the kingdom, which right now Esau Edom is ruling the world unrighteously, all right, but when the Lord's kingdom is established, all right, ultimately the world's going to be ran in righteousness, all right, righteousness is going to be true equity, all right, I'm going to get this word for equity, all right, and it says, my Yashar, and Yashar goes into what's just, what's upright. So it says evenness, uprightness, straightness, evenness, level, smoothness. All right. It says prosperity, because right now, the earth it's in a mourning state. It says prosperity at concord. Con means with, cord. Pretty much goes into an accord. So everything is going to be with one accord. So it says also straightness, which that accord is going to be in wisdom. All right, it's going to be in true balance. It says often agreement, all right, going to that accord. It says a right that are equal. All right, it's going to be true equality. All right, it says straightness of way, happiness. All right, because right now, again, I'm going to get this real fast before I get another one. This is Proverbs Mashal chapter 11, and we'll get verse 1. And it says, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. All right. And right now, this earth is being ran in a state of abomination. All right. Because, Esau Edom is ruling. All right. And just to expound on that, right now, nothing is being ran in equity. All right. Nothing is being ran in balance. All right. For example, all right. How the earth was created. I was created to be self-ran. All right, just like the human body is supposed to be self-ran. All right, to how Esau Edom has made it is to where he's taking things out of its natural order, i.e., he's made things like crabs, lobsters, all right, shrimp as delicacies. All right, he's put swine on every meal, which pigs are supposed to be the cleansers of the earth. All right, so by doing that, where's the trash going to? All right, the trash is being burned, all right, at these landfills, all right, and it's destroying the ozone layer. So it all has a trickle-down effect, you see, because the true balance, the true justness, the true uprightness of the earth is not being upheld. All right, so let's get this too. This is Mashal Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2, and it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. All right, we got that word in Psalms 98 and verse 9, going into that equity, Mayashar. All right, and it said happiness, evenness, smoothness. All right, right here it says to rejoice. All right, which just goes into Shamach, and it says to rejoice, be glad. It says exult. It says gladden, make glad. Okay, it says cheer up, gleesome. It says to be merry. All right, right now, it says, I'm going here. It says joyful, cheerful. It says to make glad. So pretty much to be in a good estate, So reading it back, Proverbs 29 and 2, it says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. All right, let's get this word for mourn, you see, because right now Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is in rulership. All right, the scriptures say that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right, he covered the faces of the judges thereof, if not where and who is he? So the wicked, all right, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is ruling the earth, all right, in pain and grief. All right, let me see. with everyone sighing, all right, mourning. All right, right here says pretty much, yeah, groaning, all right, pretty much in a bad type of a state, all right, because again, the earth is being ran, all right, and the abomination is not balanced, all right, it's not ultimately flourishing, it's just hanging on by a thread. Let's get this real fast. This is Thahalyam, Psalms chapter 82, and we'll get verse 5. It says, they know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. All right, everything is out of course. It was supposed to be ran in a specific type of course. All right, it says, let me go back. Get this word for foundation. It says mawasad, and it says a foundation. Get this root word. It says yasad, and it says to found, to fix. All right, it says to begin. So how essentially the Lord made it to where it was supposed to be ran from the beginning. All right, it's not being ran like that. All right, so it says let me skip down. It says to found a building. It says to constitute. It says to ordain. All right, the ordinances that ultimately were set up from the beginning. All right, again, they're not being held and being ran in any type of structure or true balance. All right, so if something is imbalanced, it's going to be unbalanced. All right, and if you put it in reference to like a human body, all right, if your left knee, okay, is injured, all right, it's gonna throw the body out of balance, all right, and being that it's doing that, it's gonna cause an overcompensation somewhere, so it's gonna cause the rest of the body to break down. So when you put that in reference to the world, okay, Esau is throwing the foundations of the earth out of course. It's causing for other things to be thrown out of course. So it's just a constant cycle of destruction. All right, so let's get a couple more. Let's get we'll get Isaiah chapter 1, and we'll get verse 26. And it says, and I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. All right, in which the Lord is in the process, of ultimately rising up the elect. All right, and it says, and I will restore thy judges as at the first, because in the beginning, essentially everything was it was ordained, all right, how the Lord saw fit and how it was supposed to properly be ran. You see, with the true judges, all right, being the Israelites, being restored, all right, coming back into that rulership position, everything is going to be ran in true equity. All right, Isaiah 1:26, it says, and I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. All right, let's get another one. Let's get Isaiah chapter 26, and we'll get verse 9. And it says, with my soul have I desired thee in the night, yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. For when thy judgments are in the earth, the inhabitants of the world will learn righteousness. All right, so and ultimately, what's going on currently? All right, currently Esau Edom is ruling, all right, this planet Earth. So everybody's in the vibration of wickedness. Everybody understands disorder. You see, all right, with the true ways of the scriptures, all right, the law, statutes, and commandments, all right, and the ordinances being ran in the earth, all right, everyone's going to know righteousness. Everyone is going to know true equity. Everybody is ultimately going to be in one concord and ultimately in a thriving estate, because when you look at creation, things are supposed to run their self. All right, when you look at our bodies, they're supposed to run their self. All right, when you look at the earth, it's supposed to run itself. It shouldn't have to have a need, or it shouldn't have a lack. All right, in any area. All right. So it says, verse 10, it says, let favor be shewed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. All right, and ultimately, this man is dealing unjustly. All right, he's in the Holy Land. He understands the land Sabbath and things of that nature. You see, but he was programmed to be the wicked. He's not going to change. All right, and that's ultimately why the Lord is going to ultimately destroy his hegemonies. So let's also get this. All right, because again, this man is ruling wickedly. All right, and what this earth needs is righteous rulership. All right, this is Romans chapter 8, and we'll get verse 20. verse 24, and it says, or let me see, verse 22. It says, "For we know now, excuse me, for we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now." All right. So I'm gonna read it again. Romans 8:22. It says, "For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth." All right, we got Proverbs 29:2. It said, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn." And one of those words that was inside that word for mourn was groan. All right, pretty much in a state of travailing. All right, because things are in a state of discourse. All right, so running it back, it says Romans 8:22. It says, for we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now." All right, so the whole creation, is ultimately waiting on the sons of God, to be back in rulership. All right, I'm gonna start from verse 19. All right, it says, "For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestations of the sons of the Most High." It says, "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope." All right, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of the Most High. For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. All right, so again, ultimately, all of creation, is looking forward to, all right, the Israelites being in rulership. You see, because with us in rulership, starting, from the Most High Yahweh, to his son Yahweh Shai on down, to the elect. All right, and so on and so forth. All right, everything is going to be in true balance. Everything is going to be ran in its proper order. All right, going back up to verse 19, it says, "For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestations of the sons of the Most High." I'm going to get this in the NLT. And it says, "For all creation is waiting eagerly for that future day when the Most High will reveal who his children really are." And when we're back, all right, when we have that preeminence, again, we're going to be running the earth how it should be. All right, the earth is going to be in a state of ultimately being able to run itself how it should. It's going to be back in its natural cycle. All right, but continuing on, verse 20 says, "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope." You see, so ultimately going into us with these bodies. All right, I'm gonna read again from the top. It says, "For the creature was made subject to vanity." All right, because these bodies, they're subject to sin. All right, these bodies are subject to go off. All right, so in the kingdom, ultimately we're gonna be made perfect. All right, we're not gonna go off. All right, I'm gonna keep going in this though. It says, "But by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope." All right, and ultimately we had to have this understanding of wickedness. You see, so that we can be proper judges. All right, so with this experience from this, which the scriptures say in Romans, it says from the different experiences we gain that hope. All right, going into the latter part of this verse right here, because we have that expectation of from those different experiences. All right, being that we have experienced the good, all right, we've experienced the good, all right, and we've experienced, all right, the wickedness, all right, ultimately that makes us better judges. I'm gonna get this word for hope real fast. All right, it says expectation of evil, expectation of good. It says expectation of eternal salvation. You see, so I'm gonna keep going. It says on hope, in hope, having hope, the author of hope, or he who is its foundation. It says confidence. It says expectation. All right, so it says expectation of eternal salvation. It says joyful and confident expectation of eternal salvation. Now reading this back, Romans 8:20, it says, "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who hath subjected the same in hope." To have that joyful expectation of that eternal salvation. You see, by having those different experiences from experiencing the wickedness on this side, all right, and ultimately having this truth. Ultimately, again, that makes us, better judges. All right, so that we can have that expectation of that eternal salvation. You see, because ultimately to be good judges, we have to understand both sides of the spectrum, you know. But it says, verse 21, it says, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of the Most High. You see, so ultimately the elect, all right, and 2/3 they'll be born in the kingdom, but the elect first go around, all right, is going to ultimately be delivered, all right, and in the kingdom, we'll be made perfect, and we're not going to be under that bondage, under those chains, the chains of darkness. We're not going to be subject to sin. All right. I'm gonna read it again. Romans 8:21. It says, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of the Most High. It says, for we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now. So ultimately in the kingdom, hey, everything is going to be ran in its proper estate, all right, with the proper rulers, the proper judges, all right, and the proper positions, all right, who is the Israelites, because with us in rulership, everything is going to be ran in the specific type of balance that the Lord created everything in, so just wanted to go into that, Adam Artaza Sabanai Pa Lord's will. That was a beautiful edification through the spirit. Wa Adam Artaza Atam Yashlayalata Wab Lord's will. You have a good night. Washalam Lakam, which is peace unto you all. A Shalom, Shalom.